A very warm welcome back to GlobeTrotting. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's much more analysis on the way. When you think of the most iconic triple-engined jets in commercial aviation history, the Douglas DC-10 or potentially the Lockheed TriStar all are likely to come to mind. However, there is one missing aircraft to complete the Trijet trio. Why did Boeing never jump into this Trijet market? Well, the truth is they very much had plans to do so, and the aircraft that may have become their offering is what we know today as the iconic 777. The late 1970s and early 1980s saw Boeing releasing new aircraft in an effort to replace its older models, as well as compete with new rivals. It was during this period of time that we saw the release of the 767, made to compete with the Airbus A300, as well as the 757, and also intended to replace the aging 727s. However, Boeing was still aware that it lacked an offering that could stand up to the aforementioned DC-10 or TriStar. In other words, it had a gap in its own offerings between the twin-engined 767 and the quad-engined 747. The obvious solution seemed to be an aircraft with not 2, not 4, but 3 engines. It should definitely be mentioned that Trijets made much more economic sense at this time, with ETOPS regulations in place restricting twin-engined aircraft from long overseas flights at the time. Trijets made for a happy medium for airlines who wanted an aircraft capable of crossing oceans, but not as monstrosely huge and costly to operate as the 747. Therefore, around this time, Boeing began drawing up concepts for such an airplane. It would be called the 777-100 and was conceived with the intention to be a trijet. Using the 767 as a base, the aircraft would eventually be a scaled-up version of this series, with the same wide body and nose, only with a third engine on the tail. Similar to the Lockheed TriStar, the 777 Trijet was planned to feature an S-duct for its third tail engine, although concepts were also drawn up for a straight-through engine, which would have made it a closer in appearance to, say, the DC-10. Basically, the S-duct meant that while the intake was above the fuselage, the exhaust would be at the very rear of the aircraft, with the entire tube of the engine being bent in an S shape, as opposed to traditional engines which were straight through. There were numerous benefits to this design, namely that the third engine would be closer to the ground, making it easier to service, and also that the design reduced the Trijet's overall drag, in contrast to the straight-through third engine design of the Douglas DC-10 and MD-11. However, as with most big changes to airliner design and the aviation industry as a whole, the decision not to proceed with the 777 Trijet program came largely as a result of the lifting of ETOPS regulation on the allowed overseas flight distances of twin-engine planes. With that, the very concept of the Trijet became obsolete, as any twin-engined aircraft could match its performance at a fraction of the cost. While Boeing's twin-engined 757 and 767 saw wild success with this new development, interest in a Trijet from the American aircraft manufacturer simply dropped dead. Add this to the fact that Trijets were very complicated to design and also maintain, and you have your answer as to why we never saw a 777 Trijet take to the skies, at least with American plane maker Boeing. Nevertheless, Boeing was still lacking a gap filler in its fleet. While ideas were thrown around for a stretched 767, airlines made it clear that they wanted a whole new aircraft. Thus, Boeing went back to their 777 concept, only this time they removed the third engine, and thus was born the twin-engined 777 that we know today, that will be eventually transformed into the brand new 777X that will fly for decades and decades to come. Do you think Boeing should have moved forward with that 777-100, essentially being a Trijet? If so, why? And if they did, how do you think it would have affected the aviation industry and the Boeing company? Let us know down below in the comments. We very much appreciate your support and hope you enjoyed another video right here on GlobeTrotting. If you have any suggestions for questions you'd like answered, aircraft or airlines you'd want covered, please do leave them below in the comments, or alternatively, check the description where there is a Google form submission link where you can submit your own video ideas. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time.